cool, I'm just going to do some solo game, because I'm basically waiting around for other people to stop playing their games. I think Erie's playing some kind of, well, rather slow game. So let's start, like, yeah, obviously there's the basic quests that you have to do. I'm probably just not going to worry about them, at least not for a while. I'll keep this to hurt you as well, just in case people are wondering. But yeah, I probably won't worry about doing the quest that much for a while, and try and find myself like a good spot, and then kind of work from there. I'm just getting enough to kind of make a stone axe and harvest along the way. The start of the game is always a bit slow. Whoa. There's no reason why shit's chugging at the moment. I think I'm having some RAM issues. I used to have 2 sticks in mine, and I've recently kind of blown out one by the sounds of it. At least just based on what seems to be happening. So that's fun. So yeah, I'm basically going to have to go off and eventually get some money together and pay for bits and pieces, which is tricky because being a married dude and everything else, other things tend to take up all of your money. Basically, yeah. When you're married, you don't necessarily have that much control over your finances in some ways. When I was a student, I was living off about probably $200 a week New Zealand, which, you know, it's bad, it's all good, but yeah, not really that much, relatively speaking. These days I'm earning a decent amount. I'm not making a fucking fortune, but yeah. But yeah, you're earning more money and stuff, but when you're married, like, it's not so much your own money, it's like yours and your wife's. And so if your wife decides to like run off to freaking Kmart, or which is the equivalent of Walmart over here, and buy a bunch of random shit, you like don't have that much say in it. But that's life, you know. The problem with this game is all the collecting stuff like this is just fucking riveting, man. Just look at this shit. Oh, so exciting. So anyway, just at the moment I'm just trying to gather a few bits and pieces. Suppose I might as well craft a bit of roll, place it and take it back. So the most important stuff when you start the game is basically you generally don't want to settle where you just spawn unless you're in a really good spot. But you want to scatter around first and just make sure you find a good spot. Personally, I found the easiest way if you're new to the game is you set yourself out in a kind of high-rise building, like 2-story building or whatever else. Basically find yourself a decent building with a lot of space, destroy the stairs, and just cancelling your ways up so that the enemy can't get up there. The enemy being zombies, of course. Once you've done that, you're pretty much, well, relatively safe. You might get spider zombies climbing up later, but generally you're pretty well off. At which point you set yourself up with a little base using the existing structure, upgrade bits and pieces, and just make sure that the zombies don't kill all the bottom floors below you. Following that, you go off and you just start scavenging the immediate town around you. And that's basically the easiest way to go. Yeah, right. I kind of forgot how rubbish these things are early game. Might as well put that bedroll down. Don't need the torch yet. If you want to do something more challenging, what you do is you play Nomad, which is basically where you don't have that much of a base, and you kind of continue. See, there's a city. I'll basically probably stay in that like big tall building. But yeah, basically you don't really have a base. You just keep on running around. You gather stuff, and then you kind of ditch things as you go and just see what you can find, which is alright. Obviously, it's not quite how things are actually intended to like be played, but it can be a lot of fun. So, first things first, we're going to go off. I might just start doing this quest actually. Where's the plant lines? Alright, well, either way I need to get some plants. Oh yeah, if you're in the desert zone, of course, this is the best way to get them, is basically chopping cactuses. Plus, if it's near your base, it means you're getting rid of things that are going to randomly damage you. As weird as it sounds, I have actually died in the cactus before, because these prickly things can be a real pain in the ass. As an added bonus as well, when you kill cactuses, you get those fruit, which basically can give you a bit of water, bit of food as well. They're not that great in terms of sustain, but they're alright. Could go into the snow biome actually, that'd be kind of cool. Snow's a bit different as well, like you can collect snow with a spade and melt it to get water, which, you know, it's alright, it's a way of sustaining yourself, but personally I'm not that wild about it. Man, I'm not having the best luck of loot at the moment. So one of the immediate issues that I'm going to have once I put this stuff on is because I'm running around and I'm harvesting and everything else, I'm basically be looking to start overheating pretty quickly. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Overheating is just one of those like irritating things you have to deal with. Now, normally there's more zombies spawned around one of these places, so I guess I'm being kind of lucky in that regard, but it's also making me a bit cautious. Normally I'd make myself a club and stuff, but man, I'm just being kind of slack and lazy. Why does it have so much? Okay. Better put the rest of these on and we'll just finish the quest. We'll put that on and we'll scrap that. So the advantage of wearing one of those hats is it cools you down, so it will cancel out some of the impact to having so much gears on, which is going to be a problem basically. As much as I'd love to pretend it isn't. So if I wanted to, I could set myself up in a place like this. But it's not that much point. Not yet anyway, I want to keep moving. So, at this early stage, it's just about gathering resources, seeing what you can find. So I got a wrench and a cook pot, that's pretty freaking useful. Like the cook pot means I can get water, which, yeah, basically dirty water, clean it, and make yourself a sustainable source of water with a campfire. It's pretty major, like, without it you're basically going to have trouble with dysentery and all kinds of things. Drinking dirty water is just not good in this game. I think they've improved the chance a little bit so that you are less likely to get sick, but it's still, you know, not something you're wanting to be doing on a regular basis. Blueberry pie's nice. Huh. I was half expecting there to be random zombies up here, but looks like I keep lucking out at the moment. I'm sure something bad will happen eventually. Just before I do anything more, we'll just tidy everything up. So yeah, this early stage. Oh good lord, what was that? Oh yep. I guess we found where all the zombies were. In this case, I guess we'll just leave. We've gone most of the stuff out of the house. I could create a weapon and try melee bash them to death, but to be honest, it's probably going to be more trouble than it's worth. Good lord, I actually might change the sound effects on that guy. Listen to the sound of it. Basically destroying all the walls inside. So those big guys are a real pain. Looks like I'm getting more zombies towards the city. Kind of to be expected, but annoying. Alright, not my favourite way to do this, but so the trick with taking out zombies, obviously, go for the head. In this game, when you're hitting them in the head, they'll stumble. If I did have a base set up, I'd basically kill these carcasses because, well, it's good regardless, but basically if you're busy skinning and looting a carcass, each hit you do on the carcass basically counts towards your melee weapon or whatever else. So you can use harvesting tools to do that, or you could use something a bit more aggressive, I guess, like a knife or whatever, and just scale that up. Oh shit, I'm dead. Unless he hasn't spotted me. Please haven't spotted me. Please don't spot me. So they recently introduced wolves, boars, pigs. Oh motherfucker, I'm dead. Oh, actually, it could be alright. We'll see if he leaves the shore or not. But yeah, they recently introduced wolves and things into the game. Basically, wolves are a dick. Until you get, like, basically assault rifles and shotguns and stuff, they just are really difficult to deal with. Just gonna try. So weirdly enough, when it comes to swimming... Oh, see, I know he's right behind me. Oh, okay. Must have changed that. Basically, with swimming, they had it where... I'll put a bedroll out somewhere over here before I go on as well. Yeah, what was I going to say? With swimming, they basically had it where, when you're swimming, as annoying as it would be, the zombies would basically continue going at walking pace while you'd be slowed. So I'm going to put a nomad-style sleeping bag down over here. At this stage I could try and kill some boar and things like that, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. before going in, I basically want to make myself some decent melee weapons, so that starts off with a club, being the optimum at the early levels, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but you know, it's enough, it'll work. Following that as well, I want to get, oh, yeah, really got to watch out for crawlies, they're a real pain in the ass. So it's okay dealing with one of those, but like, sucks when you're trying to run away from some guys and there's a freaking crawly behind you, but you haven't seen him, so he locks you in the door and is busy hitting you while everything else is hitting you. Like, it's pretty much guaranteed death like that. Right, so time to get myself a bow as well. It's always a good idea. 10 arrows, yeah. 10's not a lot actually in this game because you'll tend to need to spam them. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm a little bit prepared that I'm potentially not going to be very successful initially getting into this city. I may have to set myself up somewhere else first and work my way up. It's probably worth killing some of these as well. So the advantage of the club is you have a really good chance of knocking them down if you hit them in the head. So in terms of taking out single targets, it works really well. In a horde as well, you can just keep bashing people back and just, you know, going around trying your luck. But eventually it will, yeah, will end horribly, as is always the case. Oh. Did something detect me? No, I just heard a random noise. Right. So at this stage I've got enough stuff basically that I can kind of look at making myself a really basic kind of little base. I found a city, don't know what happened with this spawn here, that's a bit odd, I've never seen that before. But basically I'm going to go into the city and try my luck. Looks like there's a campsite up there. I could see what I can find up there. I feel like later in this game they might implement like backpacks and stuff, which would be kind of cool. Also, like, you know, having clothes on means you can carry more, and having backpacks on means you can carry way more. We'll have to wait and see in the meantime. I could check this out, but I've got a decent amount of stuff as is, so I might just kind of save it in my memory as a place to go back to. Campsites seem to be pretty good for guns, and a little bit of food and bits and pieces. But it's like everything in this game, it can be quite hit and miss. There also always tends to be zombies at them. Like with most things in this game, no shortage of zombies around. There's literally no reason why this is chugging, so I'm thinking it might just be that second ram stick dying. So as I was saying, I had 2 ram sticks. One recently just died. So I got a, yeah, got a screen and some beeping and everything else. Wow. It'd be cool if later on you could get these trolleys and like move them around and store stuff in them. Okay, so, looks pretty big. So what I'm looking to do in this place, once I've basically cleared it, is I'm going to find an upper floor and fudge, upper floor and basically set myself up there. With issue you'll have first time using the bow, you have to reload the weapon once manually. So stealth's really useful in this, like just assassinating people basically. Okay, so you see these guys lying on the floor? These are always enemies. See? It used to be that all zombies were standing up, but they've now got this like sleeping animation, which is a real pain in the ass, because you don't necessarily realise they're sleeping until it's too late. So this place is interesting. Oops. Apparently it's really easy to break stuff. What's this? Oh, hello. Purses. So I can loot those purses and get stuff out of them. Ah, here we go. Stairs. So I really... if I'm going to set up here, I really need to destroy stairs, because basically... I need a pickaxe to do that. So I need to look at a plan B. Yeah, that's... bugger. This building might not work for me, which is a shame because it's so big. Yeah, frozen. Oh, so each floor up has security stairs. Are these? Oh yeah, and they're durable too. So it looks like people were surviving in this little office building for a while. Oh, okay, hello. So, while I am undetected at the moment, and I am going alright going through here, it does seem like this. There's not one. It does seem like this will be the time to just leave and go out of here. So the thing is, I know that I can come back here later, loot all of this, and set myself up. I just also happen to know at this stage it's not really viable. I need a pickaxe at least, to start looking through, busting through the stairwell, and I need to basically chop off that front entrance. I'm just wondering... Oh, no, these are all stone as well. So, aggro the zombies in here. Oh shit, it's safety glass. That was not what I was actually expecting. Alright, so this place is basically set out like a maze. It's basically a little sort of dungeon deal, where you get a pretty good chance of loot by the looks of it, but yeah, you're going to be basically fighting your whole way through. No, not necessarily. I mean, fortunately, most of the zombies have to be, like, have detection, so you have to get reasonably close. But, yeah. Obviously intended to make it a little bit more difficult for you to settle in a place like this. This place, however, would be a pretty awesome fortress later on, so I'm thinking I'm going to keep this place in mind. In the meantime, I can look at one of those apartment buildings. Odds are it's going to be the same issue with the stairwells. Am I going funeral home? I want to basically stay in the desert area rather than going into that nuclear area over the other side, because that place is just a downright pain. I've done a few games where I've survived in places like this before, and it was not easy. See, somewhere like this place here would be, oh, apart from the fatty, good, he hasn't noticed me. I don't know why it's chugging, I really don't. But yeah, so this place here might be kind of good. Just have to find my way in. It's always worth having a scout round anyway. There's like a police station over that way. Right, so what have I got? Suit, insulation plus 30, so that's pretty much useless unless I want to go into a freezing area. Might as well eat something. So I actually haven't lost that much food yet, which is quite cool. What else have I got? Bandages, chili, random crap. A lot of this game is defined by finding random stuff and trying to figure out what to do with it. So money's quite good, because if I find a trader I can basically use it to buy things. Buy axes to galore in those places, but firefighters are a little bit tankier. So sprinting, it always increases your aggro, so I just do it in bursts. If I can help it. Okay, so interesting trick. They've kind of fixed it. Might as well do the door. Initially, interesting trick, I used to just go and always bust my way through walls instead of going through doors, because a lot of the doors were a lot tankier than the wall. And the zombies always get through the always get through the walls pretty quick anyway, so you basically want to look at destroying them and building them back up and repairing them and upgrading them. Yes, as you can see, busy chopping through this door a lot quicker than I would have done to do 2 blocks. 2 blocks would have been about 1,000, whereas this is literally about 400. Oh, okay. 600, but still a lot cheaper. Way less effort. Okay, so things to consider going through here. I basically don't want to set up on the first floor. Huh. Here, random aggro somewhere up ahead. Yep, so advantage of this one, I can quite easily destroy the floor. So it's going to stop basic zombies wandering in, to some extent anyway. Yeah. I can hear a zombie somewhere, but so the only issue is they might destroy this middle column. and then they can jump over, but in the meantime I should be pretty much alright. I would be playing with Aaron at the moment, but he's playing this conquest game, which obviously is a little bit addictive because he's getting real hooked on it and playing it for quite a bit, but at the same time, like, he's having a good time doing that, so I'm just going to do a solo game and see how I go. I guess you could call this a beginner's guide as well, because this is one of these games where it's like not that well known and not that popular yet, but I feel like it's got real potential. So I brought this game in the pre-alpha. Admittedly, it was quite buggy and had a bit of chug and all the rest of it, but ever since then it's been pretty good and reliable. And they've basically just added tons of ridiculous content into this, like heaps of stuff, and just keep working in it, which is quite good because most of the pre-alphas I've brought, like for example the Dead Linger, the developers basically made a little bit of money, they were like, yeah, we'll release 1 or 2 patches, and then they just abandoned the project and just chilled out in their pile of cash, which, I mean, I appreciate the whole, if you can do it, you can do it, why not? But I really wish they'd, not basically disappointed all their fans and everyone who was keen on supporting them, because you pledge money hoping that they're going to go off and make something good, and shit, that's something quite close, I think. Not liking those noises very much. So at this stage I'm just going to make a bedroll and a chest or 2. 2 is probably good for now. So the whole purpose behind doing this is I'm going to basically make myself a little respawn point in here, and then see about going outwards from here. I probably should check all these, make sure there isn't any stray zombies just chilling, because that tends to be... see? So at this stage I basically have to be really careful. Might as well hold on the glass jars. Bandages likewise. Go away. I will boil up some water later. In the meantime I've got a lot of resources and I should be alright. I kinda wish there was a... I mean there might be and I don't know. Wait. That's right. Sounds like there's something nearby, I just got a little bit paranoid. See, I feel like there should be a control for like if you want to quickly move things left and right, backwards and forwards. Because like say you've got a whole inventory of crap that you basically just want to get rid of. Damn. Definitely hear a lot of activity around me. Okay, next thing will be to sort myself out with a torch down there too. So next thing will be to make a door. Just going to craft this. So I've got this little area here which is relatively safe. Relatively safe. Level is a bit more than relatively safe, but So this is basically garbage as far as defense goes and keeping me alive. But on the plus side, it will basically let me know if anyone is coming. So if there's a bunch of zombies that just happen to wander upstairs and stuff, I will know that they're here. The downside of setting yourself up in an apartment building like this is it basically will cancel out all the loot for quite a decent area around you. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's kind of fair enough, but it's also quite irritating. So with the cans I've been scrapping, I personally don't like them that much, but if you're desperate for water and you're near a water source and you don't have any jars, you can fill up a can and fill up a bunch of cans and boil it. The only downside is that when you boil a can of water, it gives you literally one can. And so you'll end up with like an entire inventory full of cans, individual cans full of water, which is basically pretty rubbish because then you don't have space for anything else. So unless you're going to scoff them all down immediately, you basically don't really want to do that. So one thing as well is that I've got these bits and pieces around here. Some of them got useful resources, some don't. but I can also see about breaking down all this stuff later. So that would be using my wrench. You'll basically get good resources like springs and stuff from the beds and other bits and pieces, which can all go towards, you know, making an eventual super base. In the meantime, for me, I'm actually just going to go and make a campfire now that I've collected everything that was in here. I've got multiple pots. I'll probably break some of them down because I don't really need this many, but it is good to keep a spare one just in case you're going to set up another base and you're like, oh, I'd like to have a cooking pot so I can go off and do things. Go off and boil things. Actually, I've got another wrench, which is quite cool. So that's 2 wrenches so far. Might as well scrap that. So, oops. Better unlock these as well. Since I'm basically only going to have friends in this server, you know, it's reasonable to go off and leave your stuff unlocked. Because realistically, I mean, it's unlikely anyone's going to troll me that hard. I hope. That's fun, I can only really transfer things across. So, ideally by now, I've normally killed a couple of animals, and I have some animal fat, which I can make into tallow, which makes candles for keeping the place lit up. I feel like I don't know if it's a natural thing, but I feel like having the place lit up seems to decrease the chance of, you know, enemies spawning. At this stage, yeah, I don't have any tallow and I don't have any dirty water, so I'm not sure I can make anything. No. But yeah, at this stage I'd basically look at ways to boil up water and stuff. I'm not that far from a water source, so I can potentially take all the jars that I've got, run those down and go off and collect some water later. So basically with this strategy, yeah, start in a small room, work your way out from the rest of the place. So I'm also going to go outside, and one of the first things I'm going to do is start busting up the rest of that set of stairs. Do I need any of these? See, I can wear cloth stuff, and like there's not that much point to them apart from, I guess, cosmetics. See, those are worth wearing, but another trick, of course, is I can basically go for and destroy the entire apartment to turn it into resources if I want to. Not necessarily going to do that, but you know. So one major concern I have is that that ladder on my right hand side can be used by the zombies. My locked door. Sweet. My solution is basically going to be doing this, which will give me some metal as well as an added bonus. I'm basically going to just bust a chunk out of it, and hopefully the zombies will not be bouncing up properly. When they go back later, I will get some proper tools. Eventually I'll hopefully make myself a pickaxe. When I make a pickaxe, I can basically destroy the stairwell properly and look at making some more, yeah, more effective ways of avoiding having any random zombies stumble their way up here, because it does happen in these games. Another thing, of course, is that I do kind of want to leave some of this intact, so I can use it to get to the roof. However, I'll do it from the floor above, because that way there's no chance of the zombies accidentally jumping further up, or me going too far down the ladder and accidentally falling to my death, or falling into a pile of zombies. Which, yeah, I've definitely done before. So, how would you, I guess you could describe it as being a bit like an adult's version of Minecraft in terms of it's it's like the start, there's a lot of this kind of gathering and chopping and stuff like that, and then as you level up later on, you'll get way faster at gathering and everything else. Stuff like the fire axe, for example, and a few levels and all the relevant skills. I could basically be destroying these tiles on like 1 to 2 hits. I have done in one game as well where I basically cleared out the lower level floors, etc. And I thought I was being real clever. It was this big hotel and I set up a nice big heavy base on the roof. And then the next patch they implemented a physics system where blocks can't be passed a certain distance without being supported, and that there was maximum weight loads for different types of materials and things like that. Basically, the entire hotel collapsed underneath me and it all became wreckage. It all just fell down. It was amazing, and I really wish I'd been recording myself playing at that time, but I wasn't. I did also have a series of screenshots where I did a similar thing in the church, where I built it with supports, but I upgraded everything too high instead of putting them as metal, being, you know, thinking I was being clever. And basically the entire roof of the church all fell away. Anyway, I guess that's a bunch of little quick tips for setting yourself up. At this stage I'm basically going to go up and chop my way through the hotel, search a bunch of different places. I'll probably put this in fast forward for future reference, but it's going to be kind of the same old stuff, checking out a bunch of rooms, which look particularly spooky when you've just got a torch. One trick as well is that you can open up windows, like smash them with your axe. That gives you a bit of bit of sight into the room, as well as it can potentially give you some cloth as well, which is useful. Getting a lot of wrenches, maybe I should be using them. Maybe it's a hint, like break down this stuff. I will come back through here later. Oh, these are all empty. Oh no, that's not empty. Oh yeah, I did them just before. I'm an idiot. So I'm hearing a bit of noise around me, but I'm not detected, and it's really important to constantly check if you're detected or not. Because detected will basically tell you if an enemy's seen you. If an enemy's seen you, you should basically try and figure out where that enemy is as quickly as possible and deal with them before they can attract more. The risk of a zombie sneaking up on you in this game is quite high, and when they're attacking you from behind, they can actually do a lot of damage really quick. It seems to be like an ambush mechanic. I'm not sure how exactly it works, but under certain situations. Ooh, hello. So I've aggroed some random zombie. Actually gonna just see about chopping. Potentially I can get a bit of light in here because it's so dark, it's ridiculous. Didn't do that much. Actually, all these balconies that have added on the recent change to this build potentially pose a real threat actually, because you can get climbers crawling up these things. Yeah, it is dark as. One thing I wish as well is that you could throw these torches on the ground. Just, you know, grant yourself some light. Now, I appreciate that I am probably a noob. Well, sorry, I appreciate that I am a noob. When it comes to these things, there are people who have been playing for a lot longer. Feel free to leave comments or whatever else to basically give me some pointers. I'm happy to have constructive criticism. Obviously, anyone who's being a douche and trolling and stuff like that, you know, good for you. We'll just basically ban you or remove your comments or whatever else, and it will be pretty worthless. I'm not really sure why people on the internet do that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess maybe the fact that I'm not 14 years old makes me a bit difficult for me to relate to them, you know, but for a lot of these people, it seems to be their big thing, like I don't know where this guy is, it's kind of irritating me. But for some of these people, it seems like they're aspiring to basically just be a big douche, and that's all they can do. Like, they feel like they can't do anything better, or can't do anything better with their lives. Which, you know, that's pretty sad. It's pretty sting. I mean, maybe it's just my take on it, maybe it's wrong, but it really does seem to be the case a lot of the time, though. These people are just like, yep, I'm not going to make an effort to be part of society and function like a normal human being. I'm basically going to look to offend and annoy. Huh, I thought I destroyed those, but obviously I haven't. Huh, I thought they were in here, but I guess not. Alright. So, gonna make my toilet water a little bit less gross. You always want to do all. So, I've got more than enough firewood. I mean, I could be stingy and play it safe, but I'm just kind of slack at the moment. Just gonna continue doing my scavenger thing. I've got a decent amount of resources. Probably fast forward this as well. A surprising amount of wrenches, which is good, but unusual. I'm pretty sure that's the floor below. So I can hear a lot of damage going on down there. Because the other trick is I can potentially also build on the roof, and that can be a better strategy, depending on how things go. I might have to turn up the brightness so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, because this game's so freaking dark half the time. So I'll show you guys how the wrench works and why it's so important. So, go like this, and I'm getting a ton of resources from this bed, where if I just harvested it normally, I basically would have just got the wood off, and it would have been a complete waste of time. So you can break down pretty much everything in the game. Obviously it's your choice about busting down containers, because the containers that you destroy will potentially, well, they won't drop loose, and they could potentially be a bit more useful. Like, there is a loss in doing it, but yeah, I mean, it can be worth doing it at the same time. It's like everything in this game, you have to pick your moments and make some decisions. That's what I like about it, really. Admittedly, I'm not playing on that hard, and it's partly because I'm playing solo, but at any level when you're playing, there's always some decisions that you have to make, like what to do with resources, whether you're going to be ballsy and try and like take on. So you can wander into that kind of thing really easy. So you see that? Just a big dude just chilling there. So yeah, stealth is very important when it comes to picking off enemies. See, crock pots as well. That's why these places are so important. If you can go off and get yourself into a decent city, like, oh my gosh, it makes a difference. On the other hand, if you're playing with harder difficulties as well, like dealing with all the runners can be a real pain if you catch aggro while you're going in. So it's really important to try and maintain that level of stealth. I was actually surprisingly lucky going in. I didn't manage to aggro anyone. I was kind of expecting me to have to basically do a runner. But yeah, if you've got if you draw aggro, one of the best tricks is that if you run away and then crouch and stealth, you'll lose the zombies. And then if you've got profiles on, they'll basically just keep following in the direction that you took. However, yeah, it's each their own. I mean, that's like the strategy that seems to work for me. Obviously, other people have other ways of doing things. Oh, it's all metal. So to get through this, for example, I'll just chop through the wall next to it, because that wall's basically worthless, whereas that's like a hard out metal door. So I can also get electronic bits from. That's the problem with having pretty much no vision in this game. So this is giving us plastic, engine parts, basically all the good stuff that we'll need later when we're going up and doing a tool bench. Plus it's a pretty good way to quickly level up your construction tools, which is quite important, especially for when it comes to research and getting yourself better tools later on. Plus harvesting, man, like harvesting is completely different when you've got a decent kit, because at the moment most of the stuff I'm using is pretty worthless. Stone axes are kind of that was a strange, horrible noise. Oh, it's night. I mean, admittedly, it doesn't make that much difference if being night, but kind of not too sure about that piece right there. So, part of my trick later on will be to deal with crawlers and stuff. I'm going to basically build a bunch of panels all around the outsides. Now the crawlers will crawl up, hit them, and then bounce back down. So, like, it won't be a permanent solution forever, but it basically makes it a lot harder for them to get in. One of the other issues as well is that the higher up I go, the less blocks can support. So if I try building a base on the roof in this current patch, I don't know if it will actually work, or whether I'll just cause basically a massive building collapse and stuff myself over, which is a little bit annoying. Yeah. Oh well, I didn't even need half the wall before they equipped to that, but oh well. So I find most of the time it's important to keep my bond of wool on me. Personal preference, you don't have to, but each their own. Cool, so that's what I hate about being at night. Are they just below me? I really don't know where these guys are, it's bugging me out. Dear God. So this game is downright spooky at night. Okay, so on the off chance that there's guys coming from above, I'm just going to destroy these. So this is going to be very interesting for you guys, but we'll just speed things up a bit. Okay, so we've now got a flashlight, which is quite good. Well, it's technically a mining headlamp, which is quite good. It means you can basically see in the dark. Oh, see, there we go. Hello. Hello, dickwad. Oh, shit. No. Right. So this is the problem when you get hit, especially if you're dealing with multiple zombies. Just break that neck. Yeah. Danger of being hit. Other issue with this mode, of course, is that if you're outside, right, your bow would have pretty much unlimited ammo because you're always mining for minerals and stuff. But here, you don't really have many minerals. You only get them from deconstructing other stuff, which is alright for getting all those like specific things that you'll need. Like scrap electronics and all that kind of stuff. Like they're in abundance, but you won't have as much in the way of basically little stones or anything like that, like the little kind of core basic things. So it can make things a little bit trickier early on. So as you can see, my scavenger's going up quite quick, and it will continue to do so basically while I'm in this area going through and doing this stuff. Always important to check for a guy there, because there quite often is one. It just seems to be like the kind of locations they spawn tends to be based around the corners you don't check. I guess one way to view it is, if I was a developer splitting zombies and stuff, where would I make them spawn to make it difficult for everyone else? Nothing against developers, but that's the kind of like thinking you gotta have when you're making something, which I think these guys do really well, to be honest. So one thing that's kind of cool, you see those lights on the roof. Let's check this place out. Yep. So these lights on the roof, admittedly I can't turn these ones on, but we will be able to later. Well, I didn't really get anything out of that, so I might just not worry about it. But later on I'll be able to make my own lights, and that will prove to be an excellent way of providing myself light in this area. Oh, that was not a very good TV screen. So there are zombies around, probably the floor below, just busting shit up. They will be attracted to the noise, even if they can't see me. And quite often that means they'll be coming this way, or they'll be those noises. Or they'll be wrecking things on the floor below. It's a very warped screen. Did not get a lot out of destroying this one, unfortunately. Oh yeah, so if you're like interested in power leveling in this game, best trick is that you basically go off and start making these with frames. You go maximum, and then you just make a whole lot of those, and then you scrap them. In my case though, I'm only going to make about 10 for now, just because I need to save on the wood. So they grow like crazy quick. I'm just going to do my quest while I'm at it actually. Quest complete, which is always good. Or doing all the quests gives you survival bits anyway, but normally what I do is I'll scrap them, get most of the wood back, and then you often make them. It only needs, why do I still have those three? Scrap those as well. But basically, yeah, you can keep making them, and scrapping them, and making them, and scrapping them, and it will basically give you near infinite amounts of resources. So I've almost finished with this floor. God, zombies really mess things up. So as you can tell, zombies basically been busting through this middle section, trying to get to me, which, that's what they do. So I think I might get some stone from doing this. Anyway, I'm basically going to destroy these floor ones for now, and then later on I'm going to destroy the stairs. So, I've got a decent amount of stuff. Might as well continue. Always worth checking these rubbish piles, because you never know what you'll get. Basically like a random item pile. So it's all very barricaded. So what I keep telling everyone, when it comes to barricaded rooms, don't necessarily try and bust through the heavily barricaded piece, just go off and find your way around. Hello, hello. So I don't have that many arrows actually, so it's probably worth making some more, but yeah, basically arrows best way of dealing with zombies who haven't detected you yet. Because if you get that headshot, especially if it's from stealth, you're pretty much guaranteed an easy kill, which saves you so much hassle. Because obviously clubbing something to death, like, yeah, you can do it without taking damage, but it takes a while and it creates noise. It's a lot easier to get detected by other zombies while you're trying to take one out. Plus, if you can take out a zombie without having to go anywhere near it or other potential zombies, like, yeah, that's going to do you wonders. Because there's always risk of that chain reaction where, oh yep, I'll kill this guy, and then there's another guy who comes, so you have to kill that guy, and then another one gets detected, and so on and so forth, and eventually you've killed half a dozen guys, you're low on health, your weapons are about to break, and there's still more zombies coming. Which is quite good really, that's a mark of a good zombie game really. So, even though I don't really gain that much from repairing them, it's worth just repairing tools for the sake of repairing them so that you can go off and increase that repair skill, because that is one of the ones that's kind of a real pain in the ass to grind. You'll grind it a bit faster later on when you get decent tools, and you've got like a smithy going and things like that, and so you can constantly get metal bars and stuff to repair them with, but otherwise the rest of the time it's not really worth the effort. So they've actually made those a lot tougher than they used to be, so I might actually have to see about whether I'll take on that barricade. I think regardless of what I do though, it's going to be easier chopping through the wall than chopping through that barricade. It's got like a washing machine and then 2 middle doors. So I think the middle doors have, well, they used to have 200 health each, they might have more, and they probably have more by now. Oh yeah, so one of the most useful things you can get, especially early on, is a mining helmet. So yeah, actually I don't know if I'm making the right choice going through this wall. I think I might just be going to the bathroom, but apparently it gives me clay, which is quite good. No, it does way less. Bugger. Yeah. But I now know that gives me clay when I destroy these walls, which is quite useful, because clay is a resource that you're definitely going to need lots of later. I found Aaron's glasses. As you can tell, my brother is super nerdy. Loves his nerdy glasses, which is why my profile pictures of him in his nerdy glasses. But yeah, anyway, basting through these walls is going to be quite useful actually, because I'm getting clay and I'm getting stone. I need both those resources, and they're both things that I'm not going to be picking up much at the moment. I mean, look at that, gather small stone, I've got 4 at the moment. 4 is literally nothing. If I was running around in wildness, I could easily get, 16 just by running in a straight line picking things up. But down here, because there's no stones and I don't have any really good gathering tools, yeah, basically don't have much in the way of them. So actually in hindsight I could have set myself up in this side room because it's quite well barricaded, etc. We'll just scrap you this time. So as I get better construction skill levels and better crafting levels, I'll basically be able to craft better tools. So the moment I can only do 25, it goes up to something crazy, I think it's 500. Yeah, like obviously the quality has a massive impact on how quickly you can get through things like this. So late game, you'll potentially be able to destroy walls in like 1 to 2 hits. So enemy spawning, I thought I had it on medium, but it feels kind of low. It could always potentially be that the enemies are just, yeah. Hello nurse. Oh, you touched my twilight. No, it's not worth using it on there now that she's bothered me. So, zombie nurses. Don't need it, but I'm just crafting it for the sake of that quest. Oh yeah, so what I do a lot of the time when I've got empty inventory and got space, I don't have to really worry about things, is I'll just take all by pressing R. Oh, hello. Okay. I mean, if you can pull it off, you might as well do it. I'm unlikely to need a puffer jacket, but that is really useful for if we go somewhere else. Oh no, that's right. That was a bit daft. Totally forgot that, yeah, had a mining helmet on. You kind of need it to be able to see anything. So I might speed things up again. Oh yeah, on a side note, there's no point scrapping things that are made out of glass early game. Because obviously, like, you can get tons of glass really easy. Damn it. So I wasn't actually that impressed by having to do that. I really would have preferred to just hold on to. Oops, almost missed one. You really would have preferred to hold on to resources, but, you know, it is what it is. At some point I'm going to find out where all these zombies are. It's probably not really particularly nice when I find out, but we'll make do. So what I could do at the moment is a claw hammer and get that workbench. I need some skills before I can actually get there anyway. I've done half of this area, might as well head back downstairs in the meantime again. The door could actually be a real pain. Actually, in the meantime though, makes it way stronger than it was before. It's definitely a good little investment. So one trick is you can get all the random junk and stuff, and then do your manual switch over, which I will fast forward. Oh yep, so I just planted the other just planted the other table for the sake of doing the quest. Obviously it's not really like that necessary at this stage for me to have two tables, but on the other hand there's also the side of having two tables, having two campfires, that's what I'm trying to say. Having two campfires is very beneficial because I can go off and produce twice as much stuff later on when I need to. However, at this stage it's not really that necessary. Could always eat some of these cans of stuff, but I might as well hold on to them for a bit. I kind of wish you could turn cans into grenades. Like, that would seem like a really straightforward thing, but instead it's your various other bits and pieces that you need for that. I mean, you know, canned grenades, that kind of makes sense. In the meantime, I'm basically going to keep progressing my way up through the rest of the building. It might be beneficial for me to go back actually, and so there's a chunk of my ladder missing, which is good. So I'm going to do another floor. I want to kind of progress my way all the way up to the top. However, I might... Damn it! Might take the time to go off and... Oh, hello! So, we found one of the zombies. Shit. might actually start harvesting these corpses because I kind of need to get myself some resources. She's a bit of a big one, isn't she? Big person, not meaning big something else. This is taking literally forever. So what I want to do is I basically harvest the corpse, hopefully get a bone. Okay, that's a decent way to stuff up my plan. But basically I wanted to get a bone so I could go off and start, just heard something. Get a bone so I can basically start going and skinning, which sounds pretty bad, but yeah, like skinning animals and also going off and skinning zombies. Skinning zombies, I can go off and get resources. Skinning animals, I can go off and get fat, meat, etc. They're actually quite a cool part of the game, ironically enough. Little animals. So you hunt with a bow or a rifle if you need to, but realistically I prefer not to. Save the ammo for other things, and plus the gun always draws aggro, which means you end up wasting more and more rounds. So when we play, we generally save our guns for the Blood Moon. So that's an event that happens every happens every so many days. Correction, 7 days, once a week. Yeah. I think there might be a mechanic where it can change to a day after later on as well. Basically, Blood Moon's big event. Lots of zombies will spawn, all come immediately knowing where you are and head towards you. So you basically need to have a decent base sorted at that stage. So in my case, I found the easiest way to defeat them in most of these things. Some people just say is to dig down, which you can do, but it's kind of boring. That's where you dig down on an awkward angle and make like a little hole above you somewhere, so all the zombies going to converge above you. They'll just basically all dig a pit, but they won't be able to reach you as long as you're pretty far down. But as I said, it's boring. I personally don't like doing it. The other alternative, of course, is that you set yourself in the house and you stay on the second floor, and then you can kind of deal with most of the enemies from up there. Which, yeah, I mean, that also works, but it is a little bit boring. Most ridiculous thing you can do, of course, is being on the ground and just try and fight your way out, but I would not recommend that. Like, it's okay to jump down and have a bit of fun, but I don't recommend actually trying to use that as a serious strategy of like, oh, I'm just going to run out here, take on the whole Blood Horde with my freaking bow and everything else, because, I mean, even in the early stages, just the sheer numbers will get you, and later on you have all these special zombies showing up, and some of them are really hard to deal with. There's quite a few which are sprinters, which are quite tanky at the same time, like football freaking zombies, which I hate them. I mean, they're a good add to the game in terms of challenge and everything else, but basically they're tanky, and at the same time they're also fast, and they run. I don't know how I feel about running zombies in this, in other games. Like, I know it's something from 28 Weeks Later, but those weren't actually zombies. Is it faster if I... No. Oh, can't make any... okay. Oh, because I need plant fibers, which I don't have. I actually have to keep repairing this tool. That changes things a little bit, so I'm going to have to actually go out and gather a bunch of plant fibers, which is something I haven't done. Probably would have been better to go off and get heaps of them while I was travelling to the city. However, I actually started quite near the city, so I didn't have to travel very far. Don't need that. Don't need that. So because I haven't had to travel very far, basically didn't have to go off and gather all those resources that I normally would have had to have bothered. So destroying all this stuff, I need a decent amount of wood, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to get plant fibers from anything in here. If for whatever reason you can't use cloth to basically do the same thing. Schematics, always read them when you get them. If you're playing with other people, it can be worth sharing them to someone else, like someone who's going to specialise in it. But in general terms, like even if you're not going to, even if you don't need to, it clears up space, and basically, yeah, clearing up the space is always worth it. So now I just got some blueberries, these ones here. Basically what I'm looking to do with these is I'll make them into seeds for now so I don't accidentally eat them. But yeah, with those seeds I can go off and craft them, get some crops going, get some fertilizer on some land and everything else, and then I can start multiplying them. So that will be a little bit later on, because obviously it's a little bit of work to get to that stage. I need to get myself a plough and everything else, and then get myself some water source, get a steady enough structure that I can plant them all up. I found from personal experience it's actually always best putting your crops away from your base a bit. Zombies will wander through and destroy them, which is a pain in the ass. So if you're going to have a blood moon or have random zombie aggro, quite often you'll come back and find that all your crops have been killed. Then it's kind of like, okay, well, what do I do now? So yeah, I'll probably find a little area on the outskirts of the town and make that to be my little farm area. In fact, I may do it next to the water so I don't have to craft a bucket to go off and make things. To make a water source for them. I've actually never really found a bucket, I don't think, in scavenging, which is quite odd when you think about it. I mean, you think even like in the apartment building, right, people would have buckets because that would kind of just make sense. So I think what I'm going to do is the time. I think the time's in 24-hour time, so at the moment it's still morning. I'm going to go and basically drop off all my stuff. Gotta be careful doing that. Drop off all my stuff and then go and have a bit of an explore and see what I can find. If I can get some meat as well, I can start making some, yeah, I can make all kinds of things really. It's weird, my wood's disappeared. There's a lot of things I'm discarding that I could be carrying with me, but on the other hand, yeah, kind of worth it. Like, yeah. I'll also start storing some murky water, because having the murky water can be used for other bits and pieces, and it's, yeah, it's one of those things where it's still quite useful. Put the wrench up there for now. Off meat, I'm not really sure if I actually need to collect much of that, because I can't do that much with it yet. But it's probably worth just storing it in the meantime, sitting on it, and then when I do need it later on, I'll just use it. So part of the problem with storage and things like this is that it can be a real pain in the ass actually figuring out where to put things, like having multiple stacks of the same things. I'm sure there's like a couple of them at the moment you guys can see, but it's quite easy to like not be able to see them when you're the one person actually doing it. Personally doing it was I mean, not one person actually doing it. Sounds dumb. So we're now going to go off. It's about getting that water. Pretty much always worth searching cars. Oh yes, very worth searching that car. So I just got a pick, a mining pick, so I can use that to go off and this one there'll be clearly too. But yeah, I got a mining pick, so I can use that to go off and destroy those stairwells, mine rocks and get resources, etc. Very useful. Bird's nests, always worth looting these. You get eggs, which are basically like core for food. Don't eat them raw, but if you make bacon and eggs, it gives you plus wellness, which will increase your health, and it also, I mean, heals quite a bit, and also gives you food and everything else, and fills you up quite well. Yeah, and then of course the arrows, the feathers for arrows, like, especially early on in this game, you can never have enough arrows. And I find even later on, I like having arrows. I like the fact they've added in a sports bow or composite bow, which basically you can still fire normal arrows with, but yeah, it's basically kind of standard for the crossbow, because originally you had to make a crossbow, and then they decided the crossbow was too powerful and kind of got rid of it, more or less. Didn't fully get rid of it, but they just made it take a lot of resources to make. It wasn't really as viable. Sorry about the nose noises as well. Apparently I'm just real blocked up at the moment. We had this ginger cat here last night, which my wife, being an absolute sweetheart, couldn't help but let in. However, you know how there's like hypoallergenic cats, where they won't make you sneeze if you're allergic to them? This was like a hyperallergenic cat. It was like the polar opposite. Basically, she started sneezing and she's not even allergic to cats. So, yeah. Hey guys, welcome back. So we're back to busy beating away on stones and stuff and doing this solo survival. I might just keep making this one because I quite enjoyed this game. I know this game will not be for everyone, and it's probably a bit of a niche crowd really that will truly appreciate this game. But personally I quite like it, and so I'm quite happy doing some like solo stuff and talking through some tricks and tips. And giving everyone a bit of a basic idea of how to survive. 7 days. So basically, yeah, we're in this apartment building up here, busy mining away, got some basic resources, and I've basically gone outside to go off and well, see what I can get in terms of the necessary resources. The bigger problem with being in an apartment building is that you kind of don't get these base resources that you need a lot of, but on the other hand you do get some like pretty awesome exotic resources in terms of, you know, you have a chance of finding guns and all kinds of really good kit and tools. So basically for now I'm going to be running around, give me a sec, going to be running around just kind of like looking and seeing what I can find. It's probably worth just quickly filling up those jars while I've got a moment. Oh, the water's further away than I thought. Ow. Yeah, don't know what did damage just then, but yeah. Just saw this nest as well, so I figured better take these. It's always worth getting feathers. Oh look, hello. See, this is what feathers are for. Ooh. Not doing a great shot. Oh, I'm out of arrows. Not doing a great job of hitting them in the head, but that's partly because fighting on these hills is a real pain in the backside. At this stage, I'm just going to try and run my way down, fill those up, and I'm pretty much just going to be on my way. Realistically, I could fight them all and get some resource. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, but realistically I could fight them all, but there's not really that much benefit of doing so. So for now I might as well not. I might check out their military camp actually, that might be an interesting idea. So when you're running around, it's a little bit trickier to do because these don't extend as high as they used to. But can't hurt to gather a bit of everything. Definitely collect corn because you can go off and make your farm with it. And cornmeal kind of ends up being useful for pretty much everything. So I'm probably going to chop a lot of this, but me punching the ground is probably not that riveting. It's not that riveting for me, but at the same time, like, when you're actually playing the game and you're getting the resources, like, you really don't care that much that you're having to do these bits and pieces, because it's, you know, actually pretty cool. Okay, so that's just a really quick little way of checking to seeing if anyone is following me, if I've got any detection. So generally what I'll do is I'll mine a little bit. I tend to reposition myself slightly, just so if there's an off chance of seeing some legs, I'll notice them. Because you never quite know when you're going to have something coming towards you, it's a bit annoying like that. So another consideration when you start this game is also picking a biome to start surviving in. If you're a first timer, I recommend probably the forest, the green one. Or you can do what I'm doing in the city. Plains would be a close second. Main reason forest over plains is because you've got a ton of trees, and it seems, oh well, for me it feels like there's a lot less in terms of like actual zombie spawns and stuff. Oops, see, this tool's ran out. So I'm going to have to repair this, but I'm going to hold on to it because it's good enough to, you know, keep on using. In the meantime, I might as well reposition most of these. Probably with drinking something. So, yeah, basically I might as well try and search a bit now that I've got a little bit of resources. Yeah, I mean, I could give you advice to the cows come home, I guess, but a lot of it just kind of comes down to getting a feel for the game and just playing it. Realistically, like, oh, hello. See the zombie noise? Oh, which reminds me, arrows. I don't know why my computer's being a pain, it's absolutely got no reason to be doing that, but I guess just out of personal preference it's choosing to. Oh yes, so something that's really useful. Tallows you'll normally make your own out of, yeah, out of animal fat. Why is this going so chuggy? There's no reason for it. Not even virus scanning. Like, even when I'm virus scanning I haven't had this chug, so I'm not quite sure what's going with it. Gar. Oh well. I used to use these zombies. Oh yeah, aggro that one. But yeah, all these zombies sitting around, you can just normally pick them off before they stand up. Yeah. That's why I like the bow. Let's get those headshots in. That sort of stuff. Just apply a little bit of aim off. Yeah. I've changed the bow a bit and I'm... why is it fighting me? Dick. Well, it seems like this game really doesn't like Discord for whatever reason. So it's making things way more difficult than they even need to be. So, ironically, my main reason for coming in here is actually so I can get the candles. Churches and candles seem to go hand in hand, and yeah, it's definitely worth getting them. Might as well get. Whoops. Hello. There we go. Ooh. Got some aggro. I think it's on the other side of the wall anyway, so might as well just keep looting in the meantime. Quite like how they've made these like churches and so much variety in this game. The interesting thing is when I started this game, like originally started playing this, it was like very little in the way of very little in the way of variety. There's like basically a couple of zombie types. There's only like a couple of different types of building that spawned. Like it was really basic, but at the same time, like they could have just quit it there because they already had plenty of money. But these guys were willing to just keep making it, and that's what I really admire about it. And I think that's something that really deserves a big credit, because a lot of developers at the same time, they all just kind of exploited the system and were like, "Yep, made a little bit of money. Now I'm just going to bail. You know, make some money, cash out before I before anyone actually gets what they paid for." So, at the time that this came out, there was a lot of games that promised the world, you know. This is going to be the brand new game that basically cures cancer or something equivalent. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too facetious, but you get the basic idea. They would say some pretty over-the-top sort of stuff, and set up some really high expectations, and then of course, when you actually got the game, you inevitably were disappointed because you found out that it was basically in the pre-alpha stages, and they never really bothered to finish it. Sweet. There's a chance zombies are coming in here. I've kind of been in here a little bit longer than I want to, so I'm just going to bail out. I really need to go off and do some kickboxing or something at the moment, so I might just have to go off and do that. Pretty sure I'm detected, hunted. Yep, there we go. Oh, hello. You must have been it's a cheerleader. Take a find myself a cheerleader. Go. That actually wouldn't be an idea. Bad idea. Wouldn't be an idea. Because I'm going to overheat, and so I might as well... Oh, hello, I'm being... Oh, yep, there we go. Damn. I might have to up the difficulty because I'm actually not doing too bad in terms of killing these things. Oh yeah, so cool thing, they added in dismemberment a while ago. Used to be the bodies were pretty like stock standard in terms of like... basically, yeah, like you just hit anywhere and it did pretty much the same damage, unless you hit the head, which did about 3 or 4 times. But, yeah, basically they've made it so that you can dismember your enemies, knock off their arms, legs, heads, etc., which I think is really cool. I think it took a little bit of effort, you know, it was something that, yeah, they easily didn't have to add into the game. Please. Hello. Where'd that go? Oh, it's actually quite far away. Oh yeah, there it is. Dang. So airdrops are awesome, especially if you can get them. I think realistically, it's already midday and it's quite far away. I could get it, but I could also potentially just wait a while and try my luck for other ones later on and just get some resources for now. This is probably why I'm not like that much of a YouTuber. In terms of, I'm not usually one to just go off and like do things for entertainment value alone. generally prefer to actually think things through and be like, oh yeah, well, even though, ooh, hello pig, even though that would entertain my fans to do something really daft and dumb, I might as well just play the game properly, and, you know, do it for me. Realistically, like, I'm just sticking around in this game, I'm not even trying to, like, go off and, you know, some people are all about pretending that they're PewDiePie or some shit like that. Personally, I'm not that much of a fan of him, but that's just me. But, no, I'm just playing for my own, you know, own enjoyment and stuff. And I quite like recording these things because it reminds me of playing the games, and then I can kind of visualise it, and I don't know, just kind of enjoy doing this. Maybe it's just me being a bit of an introvert. Here I am pondering the meaning of life and everything else, while just playing a little bit of 7 Days to Die. Oh yes, something I haven't tested but I think might be the case is, you know how when there's stuff back there, like for example that bird's nest, if you find something that you can loot and then you damage it, you generally can't get the stuff out of it that you would normally, you know, loot, pick up, etc. Now, I don't know if this is like 100% accurate. It's just something that I've kind of, you know, well, sort of encountered a little bit before, but I'm not 100% sure if it is actually the case. Oh, nice. Tell you what, because I haven't had any trouble with dysentery and I probably won't yet. Plus there's quite a few ways to deal with dysentery, which doesn't involve wasting collecting those pills. I might as well just take those, get 0.5 wellness, clear up some space. This is the danger of being here, of course. You see where the zombies are trying to get up. How much can I... Oh, hello. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, yep, you just stay right there. There we go. Fortunately, I used up all my arrows, but you know, you win some, you lose some. That wasn't too bad. So now that I'm back home, I worry about organising things. Basically, always remember that, depending on the server settings, of course, anything that's down here generally gets dropped on death. Most people don't have it where it deletes your entire inventory because that's just stupid, in my opinion. Well, I mean, I can understand some appeal of it, but it's basically for if you want to be like super hard and make the game really difficult for yourself, which you can do if you want to, but I wouldn't really recommend. Man, I really need to organise this. And that OCD is just absolutely killing me right now. So I can hear something outside. Hopefully that doesn't come in. Yeah, that's right there then. Coal. So I think something's destroying the floor below me. Hopefully it doesn't bust the hole in the floor, because I actually have had that happen before. It was downright terrifying. So normally I just try and organise my stuff in a certain way, so I'll go off and like... Well, no, I might as well do it now. Basically what I'll do is I'll set myself up so I've got a chest for tools. Might put these above me as well. So I'll set myself up with a chest for tools, a chest for like food, a chest for crafting bits and pieces. Just, yeah, basically a chest for everything. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Personally for me, I'm real fussy about how I organise things, but a lot of people generally won't be. You know, everyone has their own personal preferences. This is something they still haven't quite fixed, is where you end up with these phantom floating candles, which are interesting, but yeah, not really what you want. See? Something funny to do with like the angle you place them when you place them, but alas. There. Probably don't really need it. I might hold on to one actually because they're quite good to be able to place them on the ground. I have got this helmet actually, so I don't need the torch. Right, what else can I take? Might as well take out the wrenches. Yeah, I haven't decided what I'm actually having in this thing, which is probably part of the problem. So, let's... For now actually, I'll just put in I'll take all the food and I'll put in all the crafting stuff. That makes sense to me. So food in this game is one of those funny things where it takes a lot of different forms. Some of the things that you'll classify as food. You may not think of as food, if that makes any sense at all. So things like fertilizer, feces, animal fat, bones, all those kinds of things you'll end up using for campfire, so it makes sense to kind of put them together, in my opinion. Whilst other resources that you kind of think would be usable in campfire, not so much. Don't know where I was going with that, so I kind of cut myself off short. See, now I'm a little bit hesitant about putting things in there too. So I'll just go and put things up in here. That side is going to be mining. Mining. I have this weird thing where I need to go and order as well. Oh my gosh. I'm probably a little bit OCD somewhere deep inside me, which is something I'm quite comfortable with. How have I got this many wrenches? And no claw hammer. But how have I got so many freaking wrenches? I guess it's because the sinks have a certain chance of spawning them, which is, I guess, a bit higher than it probably needs to be. Or maybe it's just right, maybe it's just the fact that I'm in the city. But yeah, I've been surprisingly lucky with getting lots of wrenches, which is, a little bit unusual. I think it will destroy it if I smash it, so we'll just use it. Actually, first things first, throw some wood on the fire. What kind of things can I make? Glue, tea. So I want to make some taro. It goes without saying pretty much. Might as well. So you actually can use some of these bottled waters for crafting. Probably is a little bit ambitious of me to be using them right now, but I'll just try my luck and see how it works out for me. One more. So one thing I was real bad for when I started this game was throwing in all, there we go, so making glue. You need that murky water. But one thing I was real bad when I started the game is I just basically threw in all my wood, because I didn't quite understand how the system worked initially, and then I just kind of got lazy. But threw in all my wood and was like, yep, sweet, this will be fine. And then of course, basically used it all up and didn't have it for constructing all the other things I needed. Another mistake I always made is I kept doing these boiled eggs, which seem like they're a good deal, like gives you decent wellness, they've got some good stats, they're easy to make. But the downside is they use these bottled waters and it doesn't give you any of your jars back, so you actually accidentally just use up all your jars quite easily and then feel like a bit of an idiot because you've got no jars, which, it seems like a weird thing, but it did manage to happen to me. So bone shivs, another kind of useful tool. Basically using to skin animals, which will speed up that whole process when you're busy getting the bits and pieces off them. Trust me, you'll need them because it's way too slow. I think I'll put these in separately into here. This is my little tool store. Okay, I kind of want to split things out a little bit, so I'm going to put those in there because I'm going to use them for crafting later. Can't do anything with those blueberries. Put the blueberry seeds in here. I hate organising. This is what always happens. Once I get a system in place, I'm happy chappy, but until then, it's very annoying for me. This can be food. Just everything in here. So medicine, eggs. I'm sure I had a whole bunch of meat for some reason. I don't know what I did. Maybe I died or dropped it or something strange earlier on. Don't think I did though, but I feel like maybe I did something. So yeah, we'll leave the murky water in there. Glue. Glue's actually crafting, so it goes out somewhere else. Leave the bones in here. Might as well have the bandages. So I don't know exactly how it works, but it feels like the higher your wellness is, the less chance there is that you'll actually get injured by like arrows and stuff like that. No, what am I even on about? The better your wellness is, it seems like it's less likely that you'll bleed or get negative effects when a zombie's hitting you. Doesn't seem to apply for bleeding, but yeah, you get the gist of it, or how I think it works anyway. No guarantees that I'm right. Leave that hat in there for now. Yeah. Might as well store 2 of those as well, just as a precaution. What else have I got? I'll probably fast forward a whole bunch of this actually, because I personally don't think it's particularly riveting watching any of this. Jeans. helmet. So puffer jacket will be for the snow, that's the only reason I'm holding on to those. Don't really need them, but yeah. Plus I do kind of like the aesthetics, making yourself look kind of cool. That's kind of, you know, it's kind of cool. Modern flesh, meh. So effectively what I'm going to do is get rid of some of my stuff as well. Scrap that there. Coffee beans. Glass jar, tuna, coffee beans, they can all stay there. They're pretty much fine like that. Maybe I'll hold the jar, and the blood bag can stay there. I'll switch them out for some lead. Some of those. Nitrate powder's always good. Ah, sods. See, this is why I don't like doing this, because I always end up getting way too carried away with trying to make things perfect. Zombie below me again. Probably worth upgrading the floor at some stage. So this one for now is going to be crafting components and zombies. So you just be a real pain. He's going to just be down there, thumping away and making annoying noises. Probably should have considered that before I made my base where I've made it, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Paper I guess goes in here. Probably just break down those cans at this stage. I'm probably not going to need them. Almost could do these with a cooking pot. I know, I'm a real pain in the ass like this. Well, they're going hard down there. I find unless you're going on a long trip, like, generally you can afford to be a little bit hungry at all times, because it doesn't really have the much of a consequence from it. I'm actually just I can't have everything in here because I've been too fussy and I'm keeping you guys waiting. And making far too many useful but rambly comments at the moment. As you can tell, I am super judgy of myself when I am playing games. Sweet. I just happen to have a maple seed, but other than that, yeah. So choices. Next is that, do I go upstairs and loot? We've got a little bit more time left in the day. I could go outside. Well, keep things interesting and go outside. Okay, gonna be worth getting rid of this, so we use our knife. So you see that works way better than one of those axes, and I'm actually getting a little bit more stuff out of it. So it's down here. Wow. Have I searched this before? I feel like I haven't searched this before, but it seems like I'm not getting anything out of any of this. So it's kind of worth searching this bottom floor because you can guarantee it's going to get destroyed by zombies eventually. This is the most shittiest kitchen I have ever been in. That was odd. Sweet. So, I'm going to dismantle pretty much everything down here. I'll probably skip it pretty quickly. But it's the bottom floor, so I mean, basically the zombies will eventually come in here and kind of wreck everything up for me, so I might as well bust up most of the stuff. Oh, weird. What else can I dismantle? I can dismantle the sink. Probably worth doing the oven. Good lord. Might need all of these wrenches actually to just dismantle it. So I've got nothing out of this so far. My pipe. No, that's not worth it. Maybe when I've got a higher skill. So skill's a big factor in this game. If you've got really low skill, basically everything's kind of shitty. Once you get to higher levels, you've got more stats. Trust me, you'll notice the difference. In fact, I might actually parallel them just so that people can understand how it works. But basically, all these passive skills that you don't really notice that much, you kind of take for granted. By the time you get to the later levels, you'll really be noticing how quick and easy it is. You'll chop down that tree in 2 hits. So we'll do this. See, that's better. Look at how much more stuff I'm getting from that. So, if you want an economics concept, which you probably don't, it's called marginal returns, which is basically how much you're getting out of something versus the amount of effort you're putting into it. So it's sort of like a weighted or balanced or considered way of doing it, where you're like, oh yeah, so say for example it takes me 5 minutes to do this, am I getting more than 5 minutes worth of value out of it? Oh yeah, I am. Okay, in that case, I might as well do it. If not, well, in that case, I might as well reconsider and see if there's a better way to be. So, odds are my audience is probably... I'm not sure what you guys like, actually. It'd be interesting to get some comments on these, and then I can kind of get a gauge of what type of characters I've got in the chat. If you guys want, feel free to kind of leave your age, see how old you are, because I'm a little bit curious what kind of people are playing this game, and feel free to put in something else maybe your profession, or other games you recommend that I might try out and play, which are either similar or might get a... Oh, hello. You hunted, am I? Who's hunting me? Out the window, probably. You wanna come in? In that case. I think there might be a bunch of zombies coming through, actually. I think it's the next floor up, but... Huh. Maybe I'm wrong. Looked like it was the next floor up, there was, something busted through. But yeah, feel free to go off and leave some comments, tell me what games you guys are interested in seeing me play, or ones that you recommend, and yeah, enjoy yourselves basically. I'm going to keep playing and I'll just keep editing these videos, and basically I don't really care that much whether people are into these or not. For me, it's basically comes down to, do I enjoy playing these games? Yep. Then I might as well play it, and if you guys enjoy it, watch it. If you guys don't enjoy it, then don't worry about it. And if you guys find me amusing or find my tips helpful or interesting, feel free to link the video. Oh, the videos of me getting killed. And yeah, feel free to link the videos to your mates, and yeah, see how it's going and everything else. Also, I'm aware that I have a bit of a Kiwi accent, and if you're amused by the accent, I am happy to say various words, because that seems to be a bit of a thing that people always want Kiwis to do. They hear the accent and they're like, "That your accent's amazing. Can you say something?" And yeah, if you want, I can definitely do that kind of stuff as well. I don't know why, but I kind of just enjoy. Yeah. Whoa, hello. Didn't realise I had that. Having a bit of fun, really. I appreciate some people demean themselves, and that's their kind of thing. They're I mean, making fun of yourself's alright, but I don't know. Don't always agree with how some people do things for YouTube. Some people put on some real silly, over the top, a few minute personas. Yeah, I know some people find those real funny, but personally for me, I'm just kind of you're a grown dude running around shrinking like a little girl and stuff, and Like, I appreciate that you're getting money for it, and probably quite a lot. In fact, probably a ridiculous amount, but I don't know, man. Must be a better way to do things than that. Actually, rather than killing him, I might just let him, yeah, make a hole for me, buddy. Yeah, you bust that open for me. I'm still hunting. But he doesn't know where I am because the eye is slightly closed. Oh, hello. Sounds like you've already busted it, actually. Did you? Yeah, you did. So, zombies are actually pretty amazing for block duration. Like, if you think you can dig for a wall fast, you should see the zombies. So should you get like half a wall down there. Old cash. What can I ditch for it? Might as well eat that. I mean, so a leather duster, like, yeah, this is good defense, but I found that every time I wear one, I overheat and just basically cook, so, I mean, yeah, I'll leave it to you guys' discretion whether you reckon it's worthwhile. Personally, I don't think it is, but, you know, each their own. So, because I've got the times of the day a little bit shorter than some might like, it's already 6 o'clock. I'm going to basically stop because it's also ironically almost 6 o'clock in real life and I have somewhere I need to be. But feel free to tune in again later and I'll just keep uploading these and see how it goes. Alright, bye.